Here we go. Thank you for joining us. Look, I always say this. The one time we want you guys checking out your phones, your emails, your Slacks, your LinkedIn's. If this topic resonates and you're like, I need my friend, I need my manager, I need my coworker, I need someone in the industry to hear this. If being first, being the best, and being the answer for your borrowers is important, text, email, everything you got to do right now. Send them the link, have them join the conversation. Brian says, if only I can spell. Just have them join the conversation. This is going to be a great topic. And if you've ever seen Ken speak, you know it's going to be entertaining. So we got some great information, entertaining information. And here are the key takeaways that we're going to cover today, guys. Turning your customer service from good to great, very important. Tips to use when evaluating vendors. This is key. And you'll hear me say this when we get to this section about vendors, is your vendor should be your partner, right? And we'll talk about that. And a good partner, Ken will mention, has to have I's dotted, T's crossed, right? To not get you guys in trouble. And we'll have Ken talk about that. And then ways to support the success of your customers. Those are all the key things we're going to be talking about. And you've heard me say Ken 25 times before we even got into the presentation. So for those of you that don't know, which I'd be shocked if there's many, he is out there right now on the road doing his thing for an amazing company called Knowledge Coop. Ken Perry is joining us today, the CEO. Ken, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure. I have no idea where this is going to go, which is like my favorite, because, you know, anytime I talk to you, it goes to really cool places.
Yeah, that is true. We have a blast. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kutsishin. I'm the co-founder, CEO at Sales Boomerang. And when we do these, you guys know we want you guys to get involved. The conversation really takes shape when you're involved. You're chatting, you're answering questions. And so how do we get you involved? We start with a poll question right away. And this is, as Ken shared before you all got on, one of his favorites. So I can't wait to hear the conversation that happens from here. Let's read it out loud. Everyone, now is the time to put down the phones, turn off the emails and everything, and read the question and answer the question for this poll. Why do your borrowers choose you? This is going to be interesting. Okay, be honest. This is, you know, this is for you and for us to be able to form and sort of create the conversation that we're going to be having here. So why do your borrowers choose you? Low rates, lowest payment, fastest closing. I spoke to them first, better service. Why do they choose you? This is going to be interesting. We'll give this another 30 seconds and we'll get, we'll show the results. Ken, any guess on what the results are going to look like? What do you think is going to be the top option here?
I think better service is going to win. It's my guess.
Oh, very nice. I can't wait to hear it. So another 10, 15 seconds and we'll get the results. Everyone chime in. Let's see how close we get to that. Now, I know he may have inspired some new thinking for some of you, but let's hear what everyone says and then let's discuss this. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, Ken. So let's see what we got. Here come the answers. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Knowing the industry. This is fantastic, guys. So 65% of you are saying better service. This is perfect for this conversation. So this is great. And then the 35% of you, I spoke to them first. So 35% of you do know the statistic that is coming up here in just a second, right? 79% of people go with the first person they speak with. But let's stop here for a second. Why do you think that is, Ken? Why do you think people said better service? And what's your thoughts?
You know, I think it's the default. Like I don't think people have given it enough thought. Like when I do seminars, I'll always ask people, like, write down what makes you different than everybody in this room. And everybody's like, oh, my service. And I think that's a bogus answer. I don't like it at all. It's the best one on this list, right? Nobody wants to say I have the lowest rate unless they're, you know, somebody from a low rate lender's on board. But like, you always just want to say I'm better without actually thinking about what makes you better. And better service isn't just I call people back, but I mean, in my opinion, one of the ones I would have thrown up here is I'm the smartest person in town, right? I'm the one that knows the most about my product. And so when I'm in seminars and I say, what makes you different? And they write down better service. And then we go around the room and everybody's like, I said, better service. I said, better service. Like, you guys have given zero thought to this. Like, how do you not know what makes you great? Like every time you introduce me or anybody introduces me, they always say, he makes learning really fun. Like, I know what makes us better. I'm very clear on who we are and what we do and how we do it. And if I wasn't, I couldn't charge for my services, right? I would feel bad going out there with no idea and just be like, hey, we call people back, and then expecting people to use me and pay a higher price than they might be paying elsewhere. So if you want to justify your prices, you have to first write down every single thing that makes you different. And it can't be better service. When I was a loan officer, there was no training. It was 1998 when I got in. There was zero training. Rates were 8. I think we dipped into the 7s and everybody was shocked. But I just was like, who's going to teach me this stuff? And nobody did. And I'm like, this is insane that we have an industry that we don't give people access to good training. And so what I did is found learning. If I wasn't going to get training, I would have to find my own learning. So I started reading every single guideline. I could tell you what the FHA shared well agreement had to have in it. Like, I read everything. And it was only after reading all those guidelines that I was confident enough to go out there and say, I'm the best loan officer out there. And I could say that because I knew more than anybody else did. So my niche was knowledge, and it worked. I crushed it. But it's not, I knew exactly my value to the customer, and I wasn't, apologizing for rates. I wasn't competing on rate, because I knew, as much as there was to know. And that's
So let's give them a lesson, Ken. Let's give everyone a lesson here. Let's give them a key takeaway here. So what you're saying is the concept of just better service, and everyone understands we did this on purpose to keep it high level. But what you're saying, Ken, is do not let that be the answer. Dig in deeper. And so what would you recommend? How would somebody on this call, like Brian, right, who's guessed our song, how would Brian and his team take this concept of why borrowers choose me, and I say better service? What would you tell Brian and his team? Like, how would you make them discover that one thing? And then what do they do with that one thing? Who cares if they know it? What do they do with it?
Yeah. So really funny, actually, this just came up in a meeting. We just rolled out the new knowledge where everybody can join. And it was so funny. We had this meeting and somebody said, we're just trying to do it what you want and what makes you happy. And I'm like, screw me. I don't matter at all. Like, I matter zero in our company. The client matters. If people get into the Coop and they hate it, I don't care if I liked it, you failed the customer, right? So everything has to be on the customer. So the first thing you want to do is go, all right, what does the customer need from me, right? Well, I can tell you right now as a client, because I haven't done a loan in a lot of years, but as a client, I can tell you, I need to know that somebody's watching for me, that the second the rate does hit something that would be valuable for me, that you're going to call me. If anybody has borrowers right now, if you have clients that are still paying MI, you have failed them. Like you literally failed your clients because they are paying a bunch of money because you didn't call them. And even if it's not to refi, like even if rates are too high, your customer needs you to call them and say, I can't get a refi out of this because the rates are high. It doesn't make sense. But like, let me walk you through the Homeowner Protection Act, which says that the MI has to fall off once it's reached a natural progression, or that we need to get an appraisal and see if it's below where there's nobody in America that got a loan 2 years and more ago that still should have mortgage insurance. And so if your customer needs you to call them, it might not get you a refi, but it's going to get you a commitment from them that all the rest of their loans and their referrals are coming to you because you thought of them first. And so you think about what they need, and then you start defining out what does service mean. And I just had this conversation with somebody. I'm like, do you talk to your borrowers every year? And people are like, no, what would we say? What would we do? And I was like, well, first of all, they're getting serviced by a company you put them with. So if you close a loan for somebody and you don't call a year later and say, how's servicing going? Then you failed your borrower. Like you didn't keep in touch with them. And if you do call them, and one more thing, the thing I got in response was like, well, but servicers often suck. And so they're going to be like reminded that we put them with that servicer. I'm like, what do you think they think of you when they're not, when you're not calling them and they hate the servicer? Like if you call them and say, what's up? How are things going? They're like, this servicer sucks. They forgot to pay our taxes. Well, then because you know about RESPA and the part of RESPA that discusses who has to pay escrows and that those have to be paid out at a certain amount and how much they can actually keep, you can now go to bat for your borrower. And again, sealing that relationship so when they're ready for a loan, you get it.
That's so this is so brilliant. So listen to what Ken just said. He's taking the concept of service and he's saying, what is the one thing that you can hang your hat on that makes you different and the best at that one thing that you can claim to be yours. So for instance, Brian, I'm just going to pick on you because you're the one chatting in chat and everyone else needs to chime in chat too. So imagine your service. Service is what makes me special. Why people come back. You say, we call you before you need something. Okay. We are the best at that. Like before, you may think you need somebody to talk to you about mortgage. We're going to call you and then we're going to plant that seed. So we're always going to be ahead of the conversation for you. And what a wonderful message. Like that's not something they're hearing from everyone. And even if I talk to somebody first, because we know this is a true statement, this is now 2 years running, the same statistic. I think it may have gone down by like 0.25%. So it's like 78 point something now, but just rounded up to 79. 79% of borrowers still choose the first lender they speak with. So it's so funny that we're actually using that concept as, because you said call them before, right? And so here it is. If you're the first to talk to them before any situation, you're planting that seed, you're planting that flag. There's a reason why Quicken and some of the other fintechs win, because they have messaging everywhere. So they become first option, right? So that's why they keep winning. But you can get to them before the Quickens of the Rockets of the world do. And this is why Knowledge Coop and Sales Boomerang are on this together, because Sales Boomerang is the best in the industry at making you first. Like what Ken was just talking about. If we have an MI removal alert that literally says your customer's ready to remove it, that's the perfect time to call. But I love the concept of what Ken just mentioned to you guys. If you're selling to servicing, then your first call isn't how's life, it's how's your relationship with, how's the servicer treating you. And most people, right, Ken, they're gonna be like, I don't know, they haven't even reached out to me, right? That's great. Like, and then you can give them advice. So this is one of my favorite statements. Take advantage of your advantages. Take advantage of that's an advantage. You did the deal. You can call, get there, get them to fall in love and choose you, because you're going to be, again, this example, you're going to be, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, we're the best at being there for you before you need us. We're going to be there first, right? And that's a great thing to be the best at, not just service, but that's part of service, but we're just breaking out a piece of it to claim it as your own. Put your flag in that mountain and claim it as your own. And everyone else has to now claim something different. So everyone on this call, that's an amazing nugget. If nothing else, what a wonderful piece of information we can take from this. And then let's dive into the next question here, Ken. Next poll question. We want you guys involved, more and more people to answer this. Answer this question. This is awesome. Do you say the same thing on every first call? Okay. Do you say the same thing on every first call? And while people are looking to answer this question, Ken, when we're done answering this, I do want you to sort of fill people in on what Knowledge Coop is. And you just had a new rollout. Like what is the incredible value that you're offering to lenders? So after we answer this, I want some of those that may not know, just put in some color into that. But for now, let's get everyone to answer this question. Do you say the same thing on every first call? And does your team, right? You may not be the producer that's producing. Does your team, are they trained to say what they need to say? Like that's the real question here. So let's give it another 10 seconds and then let's see the answers here. I think the answers, most of them, right, Ken? I have to guess it's going to be somewhere in the middle there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess, but let's see.
I would guess that.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
good stuff.
Wow. It's a little more on that side. No, I'm agile and adjust on the fly. Sometimes, but mostly follow what works. So 50% of you said, hey, I mostly follow what works. 43% of you, which I believe is the key, and I want you to speak to this, Ken. I'm agile, right? And then only 7% of you said I have a script and stick to that script. Where do you think the best performers are going to be from these answers?
I believe in scripts for certain things. Like if you're doing an annual call, an annual checkup, that should be pretty scripted. Like you're saying the same thing to everybody. You're just like, hey, I'm calling to check in. We do this every year. Here's some questions that I want to ask you. I think that's a scripted call. I think certain calls, calling out the appraisal, calling out, when you're calling to check in with them, you probably just eventually just always say the same thing. One thing that I get really frustrated by though is we never practice. Like we actually practice on the floor in the game. And so if you have a script and you're not running that by somebody else and like, hey, I'm gonna run this by you and I want you to poke holes in it, then I think you should. When I look at, we hang out in the compliance world a lot, and the HMDA questions on race and ethnicity and all that, every loan officer that I know has an awkward conversation around that. They're like, oh gosh, I'm asking their race. Is this going to go wrong? Well, then get another loan officer, sit down with them, and then interview them over and over and over and have them ask you tough questions. Yes. So you get really good at answering those questions. Because we shouldn't be answering the first time you pitch something to somebody should not be a real person. It should a real person. It should not be a real borrower. It should be somebody in your office where you can fail, right? Bump your nose on the friendlies is what we always say. So
I like that.
Don't go and pitch something that you're not ready to pitch, test it, field tested.
So you're saying, Ken, and you, again, you were a top producer. You have this amazing platform about knowledge and intranet, and you're going to talk about that in a second. But what you're saying is you should not be saying the exact same thing on every call, right? On every first call. You should be adjusting it and using a script, the first call script. If you're just on one script and you haven't practiced it and you haven't tried different things, you are going to, especially in this environment, right? I mean, we're talking about first call in 2022 is not the same as the first call in 21. Is that true?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yep.
So you got to adjust those scripts. And so what I like is
Right.
that 43% of you said, I'm agile, I adjust on the fly. I see it like this, Ken, and you tell me, you're the expert here. I feel like that's the strongest place to be, is to be able to adjust based on what's going on and not be stuck in a script unless, like you said, you've practiced various scripts.
Yeah. So here's my parallel, right? I've been speaking in this industry for 19 years. I started the company just over 19 years ago. So I've been on stages a lot. And I never have ever worked off a script on a stage. The reason that I can speak the way that I do, and what I tell people who don't speak, like they don't go out and do it, and they're like, how do I get to be a speaker? My number one piece of advice is just know more than everybody in the room about your subject. So
Yes.
I know so much about everything in my world, like every compliance law, I know a lot about what the market's doing, what's happening. And so because I know that, I'm fine not being scripted, because anything anybody throws at me, I've got an answer to, because I know more than they do about that thing. And I don't mean to sound cocky. I just mean I owe it to every single person in the room
Yeah.
to know what the hell I'm talking about. Otherwise, why are they paying to see me? That doesn't make any sense. And so same thing for loan officers. You should be able to go on the fly because you know so freaking much about what you do for a living, right? And if you start talking to somebody, which by the way, the best phone call you make right now is call your borrowers, call every borrower that's on a loan for you in the last year. I would call all of them and be like, hey, are you thinking of selling? Because dude, we had 5 houses get listed on my cul-de-sac and sold all in a day. And that was in the last month. There's a lot of people that were waiting to hit the very top. And now that they're at the very top, they're talking about it. My wife and I are talking about it. We're like, well, should we? Like, why not just roll out now? So it's not a short-term moneymaker, right? This is a long-term play. You call them and you say, hey, are you thinking about, are you guys having the conversation? A lot of my clients are having the conversation, should we sell? And I would probably do this in partnership with a realtor and be like, I've talked to this realtor is going to do this webinar this week about like, should you really be looking at selling right now? I'd like to invite you to attend that. And if you're not looking at selling, that's awesome. Let's just do a quick analysis of what's going on. Because I promise you, there's a lot of people right now looking at selling their houses. And that is a lead for a realtor and then a lead for you when they go to buy again. So, but if you're not calling them, then it's somebody else's lead.
And Ken, this is a great pivot. Like, first of all, guys, everyone on this call, everyone should be buying Ken a drink when you see him, because he just gave you 2 things that are absolutely brilliant in this environment. Just brilliant. We put him into the chat, and he's already said a few things that are just remarkable. You're not going to get this out of a book. And so, Ken, real quick, this is a great pivot. How can Knowledge Coop help people with exactly this thing? Like, what do they say? How the training goes? Because explain to people the power of Knowledge Coop and how you can define lessons and make sure that your loan officers go through those lessons and don't just tell you, the manager, hey, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I went through it. Talk about Knowledge Coop for just a minute.
Yeah. So we have two types of Knowledge Coop. One is the enterprise. Cool. So one is the enterprise. So we launched that in 2012, and it's basically the technology that people use as their internal communication platform, internal training platform. And then we deliver a ton of content, so people are using our content. So when they're assigning training, it actually is really fun and cool, and people actually get to learn. And then we just launched the public Coop, which is it's app.knowledgecoop.com. And that's where anybody can join up. And what I'm basically doing is trying to feed people that were like me when I got in. Like, you just got in, or you've been in for a while and you feel like you need to grow. I wanted to create a learning platform where you could go learn anything you want. So you can go search guidelines in there. You can go find industry people in there. We're going to build out a lot of basically anything you need to learn, grow, and win in the mortgage industry. All that training we're building into the Knowledge Coop. But it's important we delineate training and learning, right? Because training it's always kind of something somebody does to you, right? They're going to train you. So you're going to show up at 2:00. There's going to be a training. This could be considered training if it was assigned to you. In the Knowledge Coop, you just got assigned to training. Learning, though, that's the piece that I think few people get, because the mortgage industry has been so sucky at training. People have to go, like, they either just go, yeah, it sucks, training sucks, I'm not going to go look into it, or they have to go learn on their own, which is what I did. And so if you're going to go learn on your own, which every single person on this call has got to double down on learning right now,
Yes.
because you need to learn your way out of this, right? You have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to be the most confident, and you get confidence through learning, right? The more knowledge you get, the more wise you are, the better you are as a loan officer, the more confident you are in those conversations. And so we created the free Coop. Basically, there's free and there's free or premium Coop. When you go join app.knowledgecoop.com, you could just go search for stuff. You can like reach out to other people that are in there. We have some major leading experts in the mortgage industry. You can reach out to and just ask questions to. Like, we want people to go in and find people that have done it and then have them kind of walk them forward.
It's guys, it's amazing. This is why I wanted Ken to describe it, because first of all, Knowledge Group makes it easy. And Ken is exactly right. Now is the time to get education for your team. I will not say who said this, but I was on a call yesterday with a prominent figure that has been coaching and training just hundreds of thousands of loan officers. And this person said, I will not say it unless he wants to say publicly himself. I'm not going to put his name out there, but he said to me, he said, Alex, we have the lowest education level of mortgage professionals in the industry today than ever before because of the flood from 2020, 2021. There's people that just don't understand. And he said, they must get educated. Like they need these, they need, right? And they started naming the things that need to get done. So here is a platform that can do it. And it does it in such a fun way. Compliance things, you guys, will you, or actually, Rebecca, I know you're on, could you post a few links of your fun videos of training into the chat so people can see it? Maybe save it towards the end so we don't lose them, because you guys are definitely going to stop listening to us because they're so fun. But the other thing is, everyone that's listening, look, when you want something to get across to your team and they must watch it and experience it and learn it, Ken's system, Knowledge Coop, actually tells you how far in training they got, where they stopped, where they went back and rewound. And you can go, hey, Alex, I saw you went back 3 times here. Do you not understand this guideline? Or do you not understand this program? Do you not get this? No, I don't. But you wouldn't know that. If you have hundreds of loan officers, or even dozens of loan officers, they don't always tell you they're having trouble. They're not maybe as confident to say that. They don't want to ask for help. Knowledge Coop will identify those people and say, hey, here's the people you need to pay attention to. And so just know that. And this is why it was so important for us to share that, is because you all need to understand Knowledge Coop and why Ken is on here talking about what he's talking about. And education right now in the environment that we're in is going to make the difference between, making your numbers or getting close to your numbers, right? Your goals, and completely being off and being like, why am I laying people off every single week or every single month? Education will change that, right? Having confidence. This is the other thing about education. And Ken, I spent some time with Ken, and Ken told me this about education. He's like, the confidence you get from knowing something changes the conversation. Like when you know something and you're speaking about it confidently, all of a sudden people are listening. But when you're like, maybe a lot of pausing, the person on the phone is like, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to try something else. And so make sure you guys take advantage of this. Rebecca posted in chat. So I know we're going to lose some of you to that, which is fine. You guys should listen to it and watch it. It's truly remarkable. We may even throw it up on screen and show everybody in just a minute. But let's get to another question. Make sure we're feeding the purpose here. Why would mortgage advisors need training to adjust their messaging for different borrowers or situations, right? Isn't it easy to just know this is a refi, this is a purchase? Like, why would they need to change that, Ken? Like,
it's funny because the purchase versus refi, I feel like, is where people stop in their analysis of borrowers, right? Even like, as you hear people say, refis are going away, which I just spoke in Anchorage last week. Anchorage had 33% of their purchases of their loans last year were purchases. So if refis really do go away, that's 67% drop in the overall market in that area. And so I always like to think, well, okay, it's not just purchases or refi, it's what else can we do for somebody, right? What are we not thinking about that we might want to? So there's, staying in Anchorage, they have a lot of really, really, really cool down payment assistance programs specific to Alaska. Like, the more you know about all of those, and if you think about the, like in Denver, they've got Chaffa, the more you know about these different products and the more you know them inside and out, the more confident you are when you meet with a borrower and go, okay, I actually know exactly what we're going to do for you. Like that's the best thing you could ever say to a borrower. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what we're going to do for you. I've got this thing, and you've studied up on it. You've learned it. Some of you've taught it. That's power, right? So it's to get outside of the basic. You're obviously not going to refi. Or you thinking about selling your house? No, okay, have a great day. Like know your borrowers.
Know
You
your
should
bar
know
and know
everything about your borrowers.
know your borrowers. And again, guys, look, Sales Boomerang is the borrower intelligence system of the industry. So know your borrowers is something that we specialize in. But not just knowing your borrowers, listening to the conversation. I was just on a call with someone and they said they got a cash out alert and they looked at the interest rate on the borrower and it was like right under 3%. And had this not been someone like you probably can, right? Someone that's knowledgeable. They also looked at the fact that they had over 100, that was like 106 or 107,000 in revolving credit card debt. They analyzed it, right? Oh yeah, they analyzed it, really expensive house too, right? Analyzed it and came back, called him anyway, did the cash out, refied him into a 4.5% and still saved them $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month, understanding your borrower and their situation, right? It's completely lights out. So this is why it's so important. And this takes us right into the next poll question, exactly what you were just talking about. So guys, tune into this question. This is really, really key. Do your mortgage advisors know how to pivot from talking about cash outs and MI removal opportunities, which is everything we've been doing in the past couple of years, to purchase, investment, home improvement opportunities? Do they know? Chime in. Come on, guys. Let's get a big number here and get you guys to chime in. And I know we just posted the link, because Rebecca, you were posting it into just the hosts. So I know we shared it, and we'll reshare most other ones. So I know you're about to look at this awesome video, or there's a link in there. But do this first. Do the poll, then check out the link, and then Rebecca, I promise I'll post all the ones that you just posted with everyone in just a minute. Do your advisors know?
I want to add, because this question goes to leaders, right? So how are leaders actually taking care of their people by making sure they know all this stuff? I just want to add one thing. There's a guy, I give him a shout out like every chance I get. His name's Rich Jefferson. He's at Network Funding and he is a boss. And when we went into lockdown, their company operates in the Knowledge Coop. And so he went into the Coop every morning and started posting videos every single day. And a lot of it's, training. A lot of it's helping people understand what's going on in the market. A lot of it's letting them know, some of it is like, this is our lock times, turn times, and then it's personal messaging. And right now, everybody on this call has received probably 20 recruiting emails since the call started. Everybody's trying to recruit right now. And in fact, we just shot a video with Eric Levin. We're going to be dropping into the Coop for premium members. It's just amazing on how to recruit. But if you're fighting against recruiters and you're losing people, think about whether or not there's something you could have said, whether you could have been doing daily videos for your company, whether you could have been doing any internal messaging better, or providing that space for them to learn inside of your own company system. And really, that's why we built the Coop, is to give people that messaging opportunity where you can see, if you shoot a video and you have 500 loan officers and 50 of them watch the video, you've got a problem, and that they're not really connected to you, right? There's no engagement there. But if you do a video like Rich does, and he has 90% of the people watch his videos every day, that tells me he's pretty engaged.
And how well is his business doing, Ken? Do you know how well they're killing it?
They're doing great.
I know they are. Yeah. They're killing it.
Yeah. And every morning they go and they watch that video and they're connected with their leadership team.
So I want to get back to that, and let's get this poll, and then I want to really dive in and unpack a little bit of what you said. Let's get the results to this poll. Okay, do your mortgage advisors know how to pivot? Absolutely. 50% of you said absolutely. At a high level, yes, and 17% said clueless. Okay, so check this out. If 17% of you, those that said clueless today, right now, reach out to Ken, reach out to Rebecca, reach out to Knowledge Group today. Like now is the time. This isn't, again, I always make this joke, Ken, or I always make this analogy. If Ken was LeBron James and this was a basketball class, you would take what Ken says as gospel, right? Like, shoot, if LeBron says do it, I'm doing it. Like, I'm absolutely going to go practice exactly that way. Imagine this scenario. You just said they're clueless. there's no way you should leave this call without going to Knowledge Coop and say, look, guys, we're doing this not for you to spend money with us. We're doing this to help you. Okay. And this is one of those things that we know help. We just talked about someone that Ken is talking about, Jeff, no, Rich
Jefferson. Yeah.
Jefferson. That's right. Rich, that is hitting his unit goals, hitting his volume goals, hitting his recruitment goals. Can everyone on this call say they're doing that? It's going to be a challenge. I know right now, I call it the line of tears. Outside of Sales Boomerang, there's a line of tears crying, lenders crying because they weren't prepared for this and begging to know about their customers, knowing how to communicate, when to communicate, get to them before they get to the market. And knowledge in this case is so important. So get to Ken right now. Now, what I'd like to hear
can I add something?
Yeah, go.
I have to, just because you brought up LeBron. So I'm in Vegas right now, right? In the last 2 days on the TV, the entire 2 days has just been about the Lakers failing. And first of all, I don't like the Lakers, so it's been nice. But the funny thing is, I think what we saw, this question you just asked, and the amount of people that said absolutely, those are the LeBron James, Russell Westbrook Lakers, right? Oh yeah, absolutely. We're crushing, we're fine. Socrates said, a wise man is he who knows that he knows nothing. And if we answer that absolutely, I don't think we're being honest. I think that as soon as we answer, yeah, we know what we're doing, we're good, we basically stop learning right there, which means we're not going to get better from here, right? And I think that's what happened with the Lakers last year is, first of all, they need 3 balls if they want to play in a game with all 3 of them stars, because each one needs the ball. But also, I think that they just went into the season cocky. Like, look at this staff. Like, we've been around the league a long time. We know what we're doing. We have some championships under our belt. And I think that type of thinking is what's going to crush some mortgage originators this year. I think you always say that there's room for growth. And that's not what this was, this question wasn't totally getting at. I've got it all nailed down. But if your knee jerk is, yeah, I know what I'm doing, you got to humble yourself and go back and go, I probably don't, which is why I start every day going, I don't know enough today. Like I'm podcasting Masters of Scale right now. A lot of that, every interview I can get of a CEO that grew a company, we went from 8 people to 43 in the last year. So I need to know how to do that. Like, I don't know how to do it. And so there are greats out there that I can learn from, which is what we want to do in the Coop, is put the greats in a room so you can ask them questions, because that's what we are looking for. What is it they're saying? Humble, hungry, and what's the other one people keep saying? It's, you got to wake up every day humble and hungry. Like, go learn something brand new. But the start of that is to admit you're not there yet. And that's you have to do that.
I got to cheer you on for that. What a great piece of information, everyone. So look, the 3 of you that were clueless, that's an easy go talk to Knowledge Coop. The rest of you, hey, you make a great point. If you think you got it, firm up that you got it. Come find out if you really got it, and take the next level. But always be improving. This poll was about making sure that your team knows how to make those pivots. They got the scripting, they got the training, they got the technology, you have things in place for them to be able to pivot and have those conversations. So very, very important. Again, we're here to explain to you that to be the best and to be the answer, you need to know the answers. Remember the title of this. You want to be the answer for your clients. Be the answer. You have to know where the knowledge is, and you got to be able to get diverse concepts in your sphere. Like, don't just always come from the same place to get answers. In Knowledge Coop, it's the best of the best giving, right? And it could be people from your own company, right? That they may have the absolute best solution, and you may say, hey, can you put on a webinar for everyone in the company and teach them that? How many people are watching, right? I don't know. You guys are on emails, texts, getting distracted. But in the Knowledge Coop, if you make everyone watch a video, you make them watch it, you will know if they actually watched it. And the ones that didn't, you can call, what do you mean you didn't watch it? Come on, right? And so just know there's ways to improve. You got it, but there's ways to improve, and you should always be improving. This is a statement, right? This is a statement, but it's worth discussing. The best lenders train mortgage advisors to lead with questions that enable them to customize the conversation to the borrower. I want to hear from you in chat. You guys teaching your advisors to start with questions instead of, start selling? I hear way too often people start talking about rates and credit and your income and all this good stuff, and there's no questions been asked. We don't even know why they're on the phone, right? So what do you think about this, Ken? Like, how important is it to start with questions? And then how important is the questions that you start with?
Oh man. I would never ask a question I don't know the answer to. And
Mhm.
so when you're looking at like how do we customize those questions that, or how do we lead with questions that will lead to potential conversion into a lead into a funded loan. I always think product knowledge is the number one thing that I would be training on right now. And I always tell people in the Coop you can do certificates. And so I always tell people, why would you let somebody sell a program that they're not certified to be able to sell? And
Ooh.
so if I was running a mortgage company, I would just straight up create my training around every single product and I would assign that training to each loan officer. If the loan officer wants to sell that loan, they better qualify by taking that training. And I would do it with every technology product I've got. I would do it with anything I'm paying for as a company. Why would I pay for something that you're not using
Mm.
and I didn't train you how to use it? Like prove that you did. And so that's one of the reasons we set up that enterprise Coop is we wanted to give companies the ability to go, yeah, I'll pay for that for you, but you need to take training on this so you can make sure that you know what you're doing. So I'm not wasting my money. And product wise, if you are knowledgeable on a product, you've been certified on that product through your own internal certification, um, then you'll ask way better questions anyway. My
Yes.
favorite phrase is to a hammer, everything's a nail. So I just learned all the products because if I know the product, then when I met with somebody, I'm looking for them to fall into one of these products. And if I know them, I'm gonna be like, yep, you're gonna go right into that one because that one makes the most sense for you. And that just makes selling easier when you know actually what you're selling.
100%. And guy, again, wow, just another nugget, another piece of gold that you can action on today. Think about this. How much more confident are you as a buyer when you're sitting in front of someone that is certified in something? Certified. Oh, I'm so glad I asked you this question because I'm actually certified in doing this loan. So that makes me probably the most knowledgeable person you're going to talk to about this. So I'm glad we're on the phone together. Let's go through this process. My goodness, you talk about confidence, you talk about decision making. The fact that a consumer that's confident makes a decision faster is a fact. It's a fact, which is one of the reasons we are, you guys have probably many have heard the news that Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang are now together. The reason we're together is that concept of knowledge and confidence in making decisions. When you can see all of your options in front of you and go, that one is best for me, we're tracking and we're working with Mortgage Coach to get the exact number about 3 times faster. The decision making process 3 times faster. And in this environment, guys, with rates going this way and homes flying off the market, you need them to make decisions fast. And so imagine that. Get your advisors certified. I want to hear some people in chat. It sounds like nobody's paying attention because there's nobody in chat. Guys, do you understand the power of getting your advisor certified so that your borrower goes, I chose the right place? I want to hear some feedback from you guys. As we keep going, we're getting towards the end here, guys. So how long does it take to retain information from training?
There is no answer to that. So
That's why we ask it.
my Instagram is ADHD CEO. I learn different than other people, right? My wife's an expert on ADHD, and she always says it should be called attention um, inconsistency disorder because it's not that I can't pay attention. It's that I have to be in the mood to pay attention. My brain has to be activated to pay attention. I could read laws for 8 hours straight, right? Without budget. I've got Monster Cat in my ears, which is just bass and not a lot of words. And I can go to town and I can learn so much and I retain it all. But if I'm in a mood where I'm not really in a learning mood, if that makes sense, I'm retaining nothing. Dude, I will retain zero. So I think it goes to the person. It's part of why video is so powerful because when
Yeah,
I'm ready,
that's why we
I'm
asked
gonna
this.
just soak it in, right?
This is
That's why I
important,
mean I
Ken. Sorry to interrupt you. The reason and the
oh yeah.
reason we put this question in here like this is because there is no answer, which is why you need a system, a platform, because you have different styles of learning. You have different people at
Yep.
different times. They may be excited to do it in the morning. Some may be like, you know what, while I'm eating dinner at night or before I go to bed, I kind of sit back and educate myself so I can sleep and think about it. This is why information and the way it's delivered and the way it's tracked. Somebody said this to me. I love this phrase. Inspect what you expect. If you put information out for your team, and if you're not inspecting it, then you don't know if they learned anything from it. Again, why we're here today with Ken and talking about Knowledge Coop is this makes it possible for you to inspect what you're putting out to your team and get them to retain this information. Your production, not, and this is the beauty of what Ken has created here. Your production, your success doesn't just go up for the moment. It goes up forever. Once they know this, your team knows it. And talk about retaining team members. Man, if they're getting this knowledge and getting this support and they're getting better, they're seeing their own numbers go up. And all of a sudden somebody's trying to recruit them and they're like, ooh, I'm crushing it. You know what? There's reasons for them to stay. And so this is why this question is here, is because it's so different. How long does it take to retain? I don't know. They have to read it. They have to listen to it. They have to see it. This is why Knowledge Coop is here and why it's such an interesting place to keep the information flowing, but also track it. That's so key. I mean, I don't know how else to really to highlight that, Ken. Like, isn't tracking, how do you know I retained it without you knowing if I actually got into it, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, one of the things I always say is when a loan officer isn't trained, everybody pays. Right. So the underwriter is paying because now they're having to look at a file that was sent in without all the necessary, items that we knew you were going to ask for. Right. Processors hate an untrained loan officer because the processors now having to pick up all the stuff around them because they just kind of leave a mess or they don't do everything, complete when they submit it. The borrower is paying, right? Because
Yes.
if you're putting somebody into a loan that you just always do that type of loan and you're not actually pricing it against other options out there, they're paying. I was in Alaska. There's a company that is a client of ours that has a 15-15, so 15-year fixed. It adjusts after 15 years and the rates are ridiculously low on it. And I'm going, if you have that product and you're selling people 30-year fixed without talking about that loan, you're crazy. Like you should
Crazy.
learn every single product so that you're doing it. So again, your borrower's paying when you're not trained, when you don't spend time learning. Everybody in your office is paying because now they're having to pick up messes that you left behind. And if I hear one more loan officer say that underwriters add conditions, it is very rare that an underwriter adds conditions. It's that the loan officer didn't study the product enough to know what they needed to ask for in the first place. So if we just learn our way out of that, then we save everybody else time and energy, and now the company can operate more efficiently.
Yes, I love that. And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about mortgage advisor training plus customer outreach, right? It equals very clearly crossing the finish line first. Let's talk to this, and then I have some really interesting thoughts to give on this too. But you go ahead and start. What do what does it mean to have the right training and the right customer outreach, right, and to get you first?
I think those things go hand in hand so well because I think part of the reasons people don't reach out to their customers is because they don't have the answers to the questions that they might be asked.
Yes.
And so if you learn first so that that you are the expert on the business, so you didn't just walk in, start taking refis and think you knew what you're doing. If you learn first, it'll make that phone call a lot easier, right? It'll make reaching out and saying, hey, any situation you've got, I either can do something for you or I can't. But the do something for you could be maybe something that you can expect, right? That debt consolidation refi, which by the way, I lived off those things.
Yep.
The debt consolidation worksheet was my best friend. And then as soon as Savage came out, I had stopped being a loan officer. I was an account executive by then. But I was like, dude, you just did to that debt consolidation worksheet. His original mortgage coach was like, I would have eaten that up when I was a loan officer because I love that. I love that conversation. Like, let's pull credit and take a look at what your situation is because you might be in a situation I can get you out of.
Let me pause it here for a second, Ken, and kind of
Yeah.
highlight this. So Ken is saying something that debt consolidation is something he lived on. Let's make sure, because remember, we're here to help you guys. And I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention this. Within Sales Boomerang, we literally have a debt consolidation alert and a cash out alert or a HELOC alert, right? So you literally will know who in your database is ready to take advantage of that and would benefit from it. So exactly what Ken is talking about, right? If you're not hitting your volume goals, your unit goals, or your profit goals, this is why we're having this conversation. You need the knowledge, but you also need the insight and then customer outreach. And so just wanted to highlight that what you just said is available for people now. Like you want to know who's in your database doing that, boom. But you want to actually take that notification and 10x the results, because some people are going to get the notification and they're going to convert 3% of those opportunities. Some are going to get it and are going to convert 30% of those opportunities. The one that are converting 30 know what they're talking about and know how to speak. That's the mortgage advisor training. That is that first part of the plus, the equation, right? So go ahead, keep going, Ken.
Oh yeah, you made me think of something not training related at all, but it should be included in every training for loan officers. One tip I always give people is if you're not in the mood to close a deal, just don't call anybody, don't talk to anybody. Like as a loan officer, I'd have deals like days where I just pull 3 applications in a day because I was just in the mood. And other days where like you could walk in and be like, I'm paying 20% on my interest rate. I have a 50% loan to value and a 2% DTI. I'd be like, I don't think I can do anything for you. Like, sometimes you just don't, like, go golf, go do something else,
Yes.
or
Great
learn
advice.
or grow or do something that's going to be better than that. There's days you shouldn't talk to anybody.
Great advice. Truly, truly some of the most powerful advice you can get. And you guys on this call should absolutely take note and implement that. If you are in a bad mood, you're just like, take the time to yourself. Like really, really take the time. That's such great advice. Keep going, Ken.
Oh, it's so funny seeing Rebecca on this call. By the way, I came inside because I was in charge. My battery's dying. Seeing Rebecca on this call, Rebecca will tell you there's days that she's like, you need some time. So she's my chief of staff. So she'll be like, I canceled both of your meetings that were coming up because you don't need to be in those meetings anymore. You just need to go take some time. And she'll send me out for a walk. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Like I have somebody who knows me well enough to know that I'm basically going to turn those meetings the wrong way because of whatever has gone on that morning or whatever's going on at the time. So it is really important. And part of that, I mean, there's a lot of training I can't do, right? I don't know, we don't do a lot of unique specific, Bob's going through some tough times. Bob's having a struggle around like this one thing. I can't sit next to Bob and walk Bob through things, right? I can't mentor Bob, not from my seat, right? What I do is we do training. We deliver a ton of the best training in the industry, but there's so much that as a leader, you've got to be all over. And part of that is if you're seeing people, what I'm noticing is the mood is changing pretty drastically in the mortgage industry. I did a video a couple weeks ago, we released a couple Fridays ago about prevent defense. A lot of people are just like, oh, geez, we're all going to die. We're all screwed. And they're paralyzed. And it hasn't even happened yet. And so you're starting to feel a turn. Most people are. But there's a lot of mentoring that needs to happen right now. There's a lot of, and I hate this word, but there is a lot of motivation that needs to happen right now. If I wonder if things are going to go well, I'm going to be looking at everybody else. It's like you look at the flight attendant when there's chop. If I see the flight attendant go, then we're all going to die. Like I will freak out. But you have people that are looking at their management, their leadership team right now, like, and you have a lot of leaders that aren't talking right now. This is not the time to be silent. It's got to be, you've got to bring that training. You got to get people looking at all the things. That's why I love doing this, Alex. When you reach out, I'm like, yes, like I want to do as many of these as possible because we have to be encouraging each other to get out there and do it. The opportunity is going to be ridiculous this year. There's a lot of veterans who have been saving their money. And on this, when this turns a little bit like it's doing now, they're going to peace out, drop the mic and walk away. And there's going to be a lot of business to be had by somebody that's worked really hard. Because that business, no matter how well somebody tries to pass off their pipeline, it's never as good as as using your current, advisor. If you have, Bob's your loan officer you've used forever, and Bob's like, now you're going to talk to Jenny, and you're like, I don't know Jenny, I know Bob. I've used Bob my entire life. And so there's that window of opportunity for people to walk in and take some of that business. And so there's a lot positive to be talking about right now. And what I always tell people is if you don't have 100% market share, then it doesn't matter, right? If you have 100% market share and the market starts to dip, you're going to lose that many loans. But if you don't have 100% market share, then get out there and get 100% market share. Like keep working towards that. It doesn't matter how many deals, fall away. The rest of the deals are still there.
No, you're making a great point about confidence. Knowledge is confidence, getting your people confident. Also, a lot of people, right? Some people are just going to hang up the jersey. This is it. I've done this enough. I'm not going through this one more time. So there's going to be a lot of business. And so that could be missed, that could be taken advantage of. So just to sort of recap the benefit and what Ken is saying, make sure your team is trained up. Make sure your team is trained up on your clients, on your loan officers' entire book of business, like what's possible. And that's on the Knowledge Coop side. On the Sales Boomerang side, anytime you have people that leave, when you have the borrower intelligence system wrapped around your database, if they hang up their jersey, Sales Boomerang will let you know when their customers are active. They will alert the new loan officer that is now trained and is now confident. And now they're not saying, hey, I took over for Bob. And people are like, oh my God, Bob is gone. What do I do? They say, look, I took over for Bob, but here's what I know about you. And here's what I know about the value I can offer you today. And I'm going to do as good, or I'll try to do better. I'll try to outdo Bob. Don't tell Bob, but I'm going to try to outdo Bob. And then you can do it confidently. And borrowers need that. They need that trust. They need that piece of it. So I love it. And then look, again, information, knowing when somebody needs you, the right customer outreach, and you getting first is truly the approach for success, not just in this market, in all markets, but it's just more necessary in this market, right? It was very easy a year ago. It's not as easy now, and everyone should recognize that. And this is a little bit of a softball question. You know, why is it important for mortgage advisors to become a trusted source or advisor to borrowers? I think we all understand, right? It's that trust factor. It's the, you know, I know, you know, my lender's my financial friend. That's why we're wearing this, right? This really means something.
I just saw that shirt. That's awesome.
It is my, and look, it gets better with benefits. My financial friend with benefits. Of course you have that. That financial benefits, everyone, financial benefits. It's and so it's important because, and again, in this environment, you'll have people like, I have a 3% interest rate. Why would I do this 4.5% refi? Unless you know how to speak to that, you're going to have a tough time being looked at as that advisor. You're going to be like, oh, they're just trying to sell me something. The last thing you ever want to be looked at now is a salesperson. In this, you want to be a service person. I'm servicing the relationship, not selling the relationship. You can see Ken is cheering for that. He loves that. Anything else you have to add to that? Whoopsie.
I was waving at housekeeping.
Oh, you're waving at housekeeping. Fantastic.
Totally right. This trusted source, the trusted source advisor, like, just one last thing on this. You're not just a loan officer. And I love that shirt because, like, if I'm a loan officer, I want them calling me first on everything. Yes. And we just had a second leak in our basement. Oh my gosh. And I didn't call my loan officer, which makes sense. Why would I call my loan officer for that? But I want to call I want my loan officer to have set that up for me. So if they're connecting with me every single year and going, how are things going? What's going on? My homeowner's insurance sucked, right? I went through Geico and they brokered me to Stillwater. I want my loan officer to know that so that my loan officer can know my experience on everything around my house, everything around my, my loan. The guy that sold me the house, the realtor, hasn't connected with me since then. And that was 10 years ago. So it blows my mind that we're not staying in touch with people, especially right now when we're thinking about selling our house and my realtor who got me the house hasn't connected with me in 10 years. Don't be that loan officer that just closes a deal and walks away. You've got to stay in touch.
And you're making a good point here. And I love that we're going to end on this because we're getting to the end of the conversation. If anyone has a question for Ken or for me, go ahead and throw it in here. We'll try to get it done. Great stuff, by the way, some cool things. Somebody called you out, Rod from Man Mortgage was saying there's some inside joke thing. And Angie said, never be afraid to encourage or motivate people in higher positions. I love that statement, Angie. But to your point about real estate and realtors in general, right now, your agents need your help too, right? Right now, your agents may not know who to follow up when they don't know that Ken needs something. And so here is two things. Number one, the education that you can get from Ken and Knowledge Coop on how to maybe have those conversations. But number two, Sales Boomerang will literally help your agent know who to talk to. But through you, we are putting you guys in a driver's seat. When we notify you of an opportunity like Ken looks like he's perfectly suited for a purchase or a move up purchase or whatever it is, because we treat move up and move down purchases differently at Sales Boomerang. So looks like a move up purchase. Here's how to communicate with Ken about his options. That can also go to the agent because we recognize Ken and where he is, but your agent doesn't have this insight, not allowed to have this insight, but you do. So when you have this combination of knowledge and insight, you can then talk to your customers and talk to your referral partners too, right? Like, hey, a village approach to sales is very important. Oh, Alex, I remember you. You were my realtor. Oh, Ken, I remember you. You were my loan officer. We've come together once again to help you. And it's like, wow, I'm in a cool team here. This is great. I have my realtor and I have my lender. Fantastic. My financial friends are here, right? Financial Friends Network, right? What was that? Psychic Friends Network? Now this is Financial Friends Network.
Oh, Miss Cleo, we can do that refi for you.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I see there's a refi in your future.
Somebody's kids are going to college.
Yes. I see Bob is sleeping on the couch again. Is there a divorce in the future? Guys, Ken's information is below. My information is below. do not hesitate. We're doing this because we want to help you guys take the next leap, go up, and make sure that we're not just the top lenders aren't the top lenders forever because they have the money, but strategy wins, right? Let them spend 10 times more than you, but you win with strategy and good process and good partners. We didn't get to talk about this, Ken, because we skipped over some things because of the time. Do you want to give everyone like a 30-second thought on choosing the right vendor?
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm glad you brought it up. We're seeing a lot of people do a lot of things wrong right now. Um, it's scary out there. There's a lot of companies that will give you the wrong advice, that will take you the wrong way. I'm getting all these. If you see me on Facebook at all, most of my posts now are about these stupid bank rate and all the lending tree ads that I'm seeing. We're quoting 3% rates right now. And what mortgage originators aren't thinking of all the time is if that rate is quoted incorrectly and I'm using them and getting leads from them, I'm liable for that ad. And so as you're choosing vendors, make sure you're choosing ones that are actually doing it right. Or you could end up paying for something that was, done for you, where you paid somebody to do a service for you and it ends up getting you in trouble. And you wouldn't think that people would set up their whole companies in a way that would create violations, but they do. A lot of them do. And so, yeah, partner with the right companies right now, the ones that are doing it right, that are telling you the whole story and not trying to just get you to sign a deal. And then we're still telling people, we do CE, NMLS, continuing education, pre-licensing, and we believe it's the best out there. Our reviews would say it. But we always look at people and go, right now, if you're just trying to get the cheapest thing out there, then you're just making a poor choice. Like you're basically hurting your team members by making them sit through something they don't want to sit through, which again, back to the beginning of this call, we don't like training in the industry because training has sucked.
Yes.
And so we need to do everything we can to support and promote training that's awesome. And we need to do that with every vendor we work with. Support the good ones, promote the good ones.
Guys, that's such great advice. Look, don't choose the cheap route. Choose the best route. Do not be afraid to invest in yourselves, and make sure that you're choosing a group that's been tested, that knows it's got systems in place, that is not going to break the rules just to earn your business. That is a bad sign. So I love that we ended on that, Ken. Look, you look like you're in a fun place and you need to go have fun. Thank you for taking this time with us. We appreciate you and everything that you shared, guys. Literally some of the most powerful nuggets of information that I've heard this year came out on this call. And that's because this guy knows what he's talking about. So reach out to Ken, reach out to the Knowledge Coop team, reach out to Sales Boomerang. If you're not hitting your numbers, the combination of these two will help you get there. And it's long-term solution, not short-term. Ken, you want to leave everyone with something?
Yeah, jump on app.knowledgecoop.com. You can find me there. You can find Alex there. You can find other wise industry people in there. Just type in our names in search and you can find our profile. Check us out. Follow us in the Coop.
Fantastic. Love it. Enjoy it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks, team.